Hi and welcome to Movies Suck. Well, Star Wars is back in the news again, as if it ever leaves the news. Star Wars never ever seems to leave the news. And you know why? Because Disney doesn't want it to, and let's face it, all the suck-ups and the pathetic little simps just won't allow it to die. They just don't want to see the end of Rey and Poe. Oh God, and those other wretched, terrible, hideous, uninteresting, bland characters created by the sequel trilogy. Oh dear. And here we come to this giant two fingers stuck up to the fandom of Star Wars. Sorry, I'm English. We usually stick two fingers up at things. Everyone else thinks it's a peace sign. Over here, you're swearing at someone. That's how it works. Apparently it's got something to do with Agincourt and Longbowmen and shooting French people. Doesn't sound half bad, does it? Anyway, yeah, you know those times when you hear something and you just feel sick to your stomach and you think, oh, God, I just want to throw up now. That's just absolutely disgusting. Yeah, it's just one of those things. You feel so damn sick, and that's how I felt when I read this story on Screen Rant. Yeah, Screen Rant. Dear God. I mean, I like ranting. I spend a lot of time ranting. Sometimes I just rant to myself for no damn good reason. I'm not even recording. I'm just sitting there going, oh, Jesus, God damn you flipping bastards. Why do you do this to me all the time? Sorry about that. I'm just drifting off into anger land here because I'm talking about Star Wars. And when I talk about Star Wars, I get angry. Because I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars so much. The original Star Wars movie, which they retconned into A New Hope, I loved that film so much that when I was a kid, I used to watch that film every Saturday. Basically every single Saturday. I cannot count the number of times I've seen that movie. And these days, obviously, I do believe that The Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie, as do all of you right-thinking people out there. Only a wrong-thinking person, as George Orwell would have said, if he had ever seen the sequel trilogy, would think any of the sequel trilogy was worth any of your time, even a little bit of time. It's not worth your time. Forget about the sequel trilogy. I'm still trying to forget about the prequel trilogy, but the original trilogy is sacrosanct. There is nothing you should be able to do that damages the original trilogy, which is where the sequel trilogy absolutely screwed up, completely destroying the original trilogy and the importance of the original events. I absolutely hate Disney. Sometimes I like some of their movies, but generally I hate Disney. That leads me to this story here, where in Screen Rant they said, why Rey SKYWALKER was the only way Star Wars could have ended. Really, Screen Rant? Rey SKYWALKER? Not Rey Palpatine as you decided to create it, or Rey Nobody as she was in The Last Jedi? I mean, Jesus Christ. This is absolutely sickening. Nobody believes that her name is Rey SKYWALKER. She co-opted that name. She stole that name. She is not a Skywalker. It's like they just cannot steal enough from you. They're just like, yeah, let me just rip your heart out. Oh, yeah, shit, I don't need a heart. What did I get that for? Let's just throw that fucking thing away. I'm really pissed off, but let's read this story and we can see why I'm so pissed off. I'm pissed off anyway at the headline, the idea that she is Rey Skywalker. No, that was bullshit. Let's have a look at their reasoning behind why they think that this is just fine. Of course it had to end as her being Rey Skywalker. That was the only way it could have been. Enough soy latte there? Do you want some more soy in your coffee? Jesus Christ, people make me sick. So, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker's Rey Skywalker twist was the only way the Star Wars saga could have ended. When Disney acquired Lucasfilm, the studio had high hopes for the sequel trilogy. Unfortunately, Star Wars The Last Jedi divided the fan base, and Star Wars Rise of Skywalker has proved controversial as well. Really? Well, I was put off by The Force Awakens. After half an hour of watching that bullshit, I was like, okay, yep, this is fucked. And as soon as they killed Han, I was like, okay, now there is absolutely zero to look forward to in this sequel trilogy. We're not going to get all of the guys back together. We're not going to see that great scene on the Millennium Falcon where they're all in the cockpit. It's not going to happen anymore. What's the point? It was screwed up from that moment on. And then Rian Johnson insulting Luke Skywalker, trying to destroy his reputation in that absolute travesty of a movie. Why did they hire directors who hate Star Wars? Why did they do that? Or who had no interest in Star Wars, or who just thought, well, let's just rehash the original film, because that went so well originally. Yeah, it did. But we didn't expect you to just rehash the movie and then kill off one of the most beloved characters to ever grace the cinema screen. These people are absolute trash. They are filth. They are garbage. And they don't like the fans. They don't want the fans. Which is why we're all sitting here thinking to ourselves, why do they keep doing this to us? Why? It's because they hate you. They hate your guts. They just don't want to see you. They want their, soy drinking friends to come over and take over from you. That's who they made these films for. They didn't make these films for you guys, not for you fans. Anyway, critics have focused particularly on the closing scene in which Rey visits the desert world of Tatooine and claims the Skywalker surname. No doubt Lucasfilm hoped this would be a powerful end to the Star Wars saga, but sadly the execution doesn't quite work. It feels like a fan service. Another desperate attempt to appeal to nostalgia in a film that was overly reliant on that approach. That film was not overly reliant on that approach. Yes, there was nostalgia in these films, but it was nostalgia tinged by the fact that they hated the original films, and they did their best to kill off those characters. They did their best to destroy what the original trilogy created. So, yes, there's nostalgia there, but that's just because they're desperate to try and get the fans to actually want to watch it again. But the fans aren't interested anymore. You ruined that. You destroyed their hopes. Maybe not their dreams, but that might be going a bit too melodramatic. But you destroyed everything they held dear within this. Star Wars was sacrosanct. George Lucas made a little bit of a mess of the prequels, but we could forgive him for that. He's George Lucas. He gave us Star Wars in the first place. Disney didn't give us shit in the Star Wars canon. Disney has done nothing for us. Disney did not do a goddamn thing to create this, and all they've done since is destroy what we love. Oddly enough, though, these criticisms really aren't fair. The Rey Skywalker scene is an effective cap to the entire story, and it fulfills a lot of the franchise's most important themes. It's true that in execution it could have been done a lot better, but the concept was sound, and there was probably no better way to end Rey's story. I could think of a better way to end Rey's story. She should have died. Yeah, she should have died at the end. And then Kylo Ren would have lived, and then he could have claimed the Skywalker name if he wanted. Because he was actually a Skywalker, or at least half Skywalker. He could have taken that name if he had wanted. I would prefer he kept the Solo name, but he could have taken that. Then a real Skywalker would have ended that movie. It would have been good. I would have liked that. It would have been a great way to finish that movie, but no! He gives up his life to save this goddamn Mary Sue, who destroyed the Star Wars franchise. With the help of Disney, obviously. She didn't do it on her own. It's not even really it's not the actress's Daisy Ridley's fault. She's just doing a job, and she was like, "Yay, I get to do something really cool, and I get to be the main character in Star Wars. Star Wars! I don't really know what the hell Star Wars is, but I know it's a really big name." That's no doubt what she thought at the time. Little did she know that she was actually going to become one of the most hated characters that everybody really, really detested. Because, as we all know, this is not Star Wars. No matter what they say, this is not Star Wars. As far as I'm concerned, Star Wars ended with the prequel trilogy, and I'm not a fan of the prequel trilogy, and I don't like some of the things they did in the prequel trilogy, and I completely discount some of the things they did in the prequel trilogy, particularly the things related to Boba Fett. Discounted those. As far as I'm concerned, they don't exist. I go with the expanded universe for those sorts of details. But, that said, at least that was Lucas. This was Disney, and it was bollocks. Oh, God. Lucasfilm recently published The Art of Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, and it includes a transcript from a meeting of the Lucasfilm Story Group back in 2014. And in it, They openly discuss the end of Rey's story. Already they're considering having her claim the Skywalker surname. They said, "I like the idea that she's going to be our Skywalker, but she's not a Skywalker." Pablo Hidalgo notes, "Then for our purposes, the Skywalker is really a metaphor. It doesn't have to be something that's directly connected to blood." While it's true that Lucasfilms often claimed to have things planned in advance when they were making it up as they go, a habit they picked up from George Lucas himself, there's no reason to disbelieve this claim. The idea is actually clearly foreshadowed in Star Wars The Force Awakens. Note how they said, "She's our Skywalker." She's not your Skywalker. She's not the fan Skywalker. She's nothing to do with you guys. Fuck you. We don't care what you think. We're not even going to check. She's just our Skywalker. Because we like her. We want her. Aww. Goddamn Disney. She's not a Skywalker. Skywalker is a surname passed on by blood. It's not a thing. It's not a metaphor. It's a family. Where did they not understand this? Skywalker just happens to be his name. It's not a mythical being. This is not ancient Rome. This is not ancient Greece. We're not making up gods and things. It's just a family name. Like, I have a family name. You have a family name. We all have family names. Except Rey, obviously, at the start of The Force Awakens, because they had already decided they were going to have her be a Skywalker. They just hadn't quite figured out how. That was just one of those details for the future. We'll work that out in the last film. Which they did. And it was bullshit. As we were all sadly to discover. Disney didn't care about you, the fans. All they cared about was money. And obviously, their agenda. Because you can't be in Hollywood without having an agenda. And obviously it has to be the right agenda. A feminist agenda. Or at least an intersectional feminist agenda. It's absolutely disgusting. These people are sick. All they cared was about making money off the fans. That's why The Force Awakens was such a big thing. The Force Awakens made, what, 2.3 billion or something like that? Which meant that Disney made about 1.5 billion or more. And they did that out of people wanting to see the original crew back again. That was where that came from. After that, people went to see The Last Jedi because they thought, okay, we'll give it a go. I mean, The Force Awakens wasn't that bad. And then Rian Johnson fucked everything up. Screwed everything up. Said a giant F you to the fans. Stuck his middle finger up and said, yeah, swivel on it. Let's get back to this. Needless to say, Skywalker's a family name. You have to be related by blood to claim it. Rey is not a Skywalker. One of the core themes in Star Wars The Force Awakens is Rey's quest for self-identity. This is why Rey doesn't have a surname. It's a symbol of her lack of identity, indicating the desperate need to belong. She first begins to find her place in the galaxy when she hears the lightsaber's call and reaches out to touch it. But this isn't just any lightsaber, it is the Skywalker blade. The Skywalker. Can you want to say Skywalker a few more times? Because it's some mythical thing. Skywalker. Ah! Where is the angelic music every time they say it? It should be here somewhere. It's okay, guys. I added it for you. It's fine. Passed down from one generation of Skywalkers to the next. Well, no, it was Anakin Skywalker's blade, and he didn't exactly pass it down to Luke. Ben gave it to Luke, because he said his father wanted him to have it when he was old enough, which was a lie on Ben's part. So it's not really a thing that's passed down through family members. It just happened to end up in Luke's hands. Well, hand, and then stayed in his hand. And who knows where that went. Because I don't agree with the sequel trilogy, it's all bollocks. Passed down from one generation of Skywalkers to the next. It was used by Anakin Skywalker until he fell to the dark side and became Darth Vader. It was claimed by Luke Skywalker when he decided to follow in his father's footsteps and become a Jedi Knight. And now it has found its way to Rey. The belonging you seek is not behind you, Maz tells her. It is ahead. It will be found in embracing her role as the Skywalker. The Skywalker, there we go again, as if it's some sort of title. I am now the Skywalker. What initials do you put after your name for that? I don't know, some probably like S, W. What kind of retarded idiot wrote this? I'm going to check that out later. Maz Kanata may have encouraged Rey to focus on her future rather than her past, but audiences were just as interested in the question of where the Jakku scavenger had come from. It fell to Rian Johnson to answer those questions in Star Wars The Last Jedi, and he chose to reveal Rey as simply a nobody. Your parents were filthy junk traders, Kylo Ren told her, who sold you off for drinking money. They're dead in a pauper's grave in the Jakku desert. Essentially, Kylo Ren served the same purpose as Maz Kanata in Star Wars The Force Awakens, albeit more forcefully and with a very different agenda. He told Rey she could not be defined by her past. Indeed, she had no past to be defined by, and instead must choose her destiny. This perfectly sets up the idea of Rey becoming Skywalker by choice, one who brings balance to the Force. Now, I'm not saying that she couldn't choose to have her surname as Skywalker, because after reading and hearing about Luke Skywalker and things, you'd probably want to relate yourself to him. Of course, Rian Johnson destroyed that myth, didn't he? But she can call herself anything she wants. That's her choice. I don't mind. She can call herself Rey, God of the Desert, Eagle People, born in heaven to do battle with the evil dead. Okay, that's a weird name. But she could call herself that if she wanted. She can call herself anything she wants. But she's not a Skywalker. She's not a Skywalker as related to Luke and Leia. She's not one of those. She's not related to Anakin. She's just a person who decided to call herself Skywalker, and she happens to be a Jedi, supposedly, even though she didn't actually do anything that really gave her the right to call herself a Jedi. She just decided she was a Jedi, and then she was amazing, because she's just that good. You're an amazing Jedi, Rey, you can do anything. Disney is bullshit. And this is all bullshit. She had no surname because they wanted to call her Skywalker eventually. They were expecting to somehow say that one of her parents was related to her, but that was all ruined as well. And they didn't fix that in The Rise of Skywalker because they decided to make her a Palpatine, which is still not a Skywalker. And I don't mean that in the sense of a Skywalker as in, I'm Judge Skywalker. Yes, we are all Skywalkers when we are judges. No, it's a surname. It's not a title. And I also take offense when they say, becoming a Skywalker by choice, the one who brings balance to the Force. Okay, but that was Anakin Skywalker. He was the one who was supposed to bring balance to the Force. Rey isn't the one that's supposed to bring balance to the Force. She's not even a Skywalker. So why would she be the one that brings balance to the Force? It was absolutely out of place to try and retcon that title away from Anakin. And that is just unforgivable. This is the building blocks of the Star Wars mythos. You can't just start to retcon this and change this. It's just absolutely out of order. Kylo Ren's revelation shocked the Star Wars fanbase almost as much as it did Rey herself. The resulting controversy led Lucasfilm to perform a sharp pivot, and in Star Wars Rise of Skywalker they revealed Rey as the granddaughter of Palpatine. Kylo Ren was right when he said Rey's parents were nobodies, but only from a certain point of view. Just as Obi-Wan Kenobi wasn't being entirely truthful when he told Luke his father had been killed by Darth Vader. It's an awkward retcon, and yet returning director J.J. Abrams felt it added new depth to Rey's choice to become a Skywalker. Would Rey allow her past to define her and succumb to the seduction of the dark side, or would she embrace the destiny of the Skywalkers and defeat the Emperor once and for all? Abrams' retcon may have changed the journey, but Rey's destination was the same, the moment she calls herself a Skywalker. Oh dear God, how do you unpack that load of bullshit? Oh man. You know, the fact that they decided to have her be a Palpatine was dumb enough. And then, to have a Palpatine take on the name of Skywalker as if the Palpatine Rey line has now co-opted the Skywalker line. So now all Skywalkers are actually Palpatines. In that way, Emperor Palpatine actually won, didn't he? They defeated him at the end, but really he won because his bloodline is now continuing as if they are Skywalkers. That's a sick idea, isn't it? That's absolutely sick. Sick and twisted and disgusting, just as you would expect from the people that brought you the sequel trilogy. Oh God. Where do they get this bullshit from? It's unbelievable. It's frankly a shame that the Rey Skywalker scene has become so controversial because in truth it taps into some of the most important ideas in Star Wars. To be a Skywalker is to choose to live a life of balance and to bring balance to the Force itself. Balance is a fleeting thing in Greg Rucka's novel Guardian of the Whills. It is said to be as ephemeral as the moment between breaths. It can only ever be a temporary state of affairs. Thus Anakin and Luke brought balance when they defeated Palpatine and the second Death Star. But it did not last because the Sith fought against the balance of the Force and resisted death itself. Rey therefore unwittingly chooses to incorporate herself into the prophecy of the Chosen One. As production designer Rick Carter observes in The Art of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, Episode 1 prophecy was that a Skywalker was somehow going to help balance the Force. Rian Johnson opened Star Wars up to the possibility that if Rey is not a Skywalker by blood, then being the mythological Skywalker is something you can aspire to and achieve in life. The Skywalker is not a mythological being. It's an actual person, an actual family. It is a blood family. You have to be part of that family. It doesn't say that someone calling themselves a Skywalker is going to bring balance to the Force. No, it said a Skywalker was going to somehow help to balance the Force. That completely discounts everything that you just said here, because Rey is not a Skywalker. At any point, we already proven that she's a Palpatine. The person, in this case, that would have brought balance to the Force within her lifetime of the film series would have been Kylo Ren, someone who could actually claim the Skywalker name, should he choose to. So I would rather believe that in this sequel trilogy, it was Kylo Ren that brought balance to the Force, not Rey. It's absolutely disgusting. I'm really, really sick of Disney and Rian Johnson, all these idiots involved in the sequel trilogy, trying to destroy what George Lucas created. These people just are not happy. They will never be happy, and so they ruin everything that you love. Ah, dear. This is absolute gibberish. So George Lucas famously said that Star Wars should be like poetry, and indeed there is something so very poetic to the idea of Rey becoming the Skywalker. The Skywalker again, here we go. It fits perfectly with the long-standing Star Wars theme of family. It mirrors Luke's journey to become a Jedi Knight, and it corresponds with the hero's journey trope that was so profoundly influenced the franchise. Novelist Ray Carson, who penned the novelization of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, pointed to another layer opened up by the idea of a Palpatine becoming a Skywalker. Not the Skywalker this time? How strange. My current take is this. The entire Skywalker saga is about Palpatine turning or trying to turn Skywalkers to the dark side. He especially hopes that Rey will prove a worthy vessel for his own power and ambition to become the Skywalker's final downfall. But in spite of all his efforts over the course of 3 generations, he fails. Rey rejects everything about him and takes on the Skywalker mantle and legacy. In the end, it's a Palpatine who turns to the light, thus handing the Skywalkers their ultimate victory, or their ultimate defeat, because you've now killed off the Skywalker line. There are no Skywalkers anymore. Thanks to the sequel trilogy, they're all gone. All we're left with is Palpatines. So the Emperor won, didn't he? As far as we know, Rey's daughter or son or whoever is going to become an evil dark side Sith, because that's in her blood, isn't it? Just like the Skywalkers were known to be great Jedis. This is really, really sick. And she didn't have a hero's journey, did she? She started off in the first movie, and then was like, yay, I'm amazing! And then the film said, yay, you're amazing! And then ever since then, they just went, yay, you're amazing, you can do anything. Even stuff that actual real Jedi cannot do and have never heard of before. It's absolute bullshit. This is not correct. She is not a real Skywalker. She's just calling herself that. Stop trying to give her the Skywalker as a title. It's not a title. It's a family name. That family is dead. This is a Palpatine. In truth, whatever twists and turns the sequel trilogy took, Rey SKYWALKER was always the logical conclusion. It's true the execution was poor, thus inviting criticism, but the concept is profound and powerful. For all it has been handled badly, there was no better way for the Star Wars saga to end. There was! Kylo Ren should have lived at the end, and then a Skywalker and a Solo would have been there at the end of the series. But as it ended, there was no Skywalker involved. There was just some really annoying Mary Sue who destroyed the legacy of Star Wars. Just like Disney destroyed the legacy of Star Wars. I cannot believe people are still writing articles like this. It is absolute trash, absolute garbage. Disney has done nothing but ruin what was once a great cinematic franchise. And they're going to do more. I'm not looking forward to some Taika Waititi movie. That's going to be bullshit as well, because I'll destroy your mythos in a second, baby. Fuck you. And fuck Disney. I'm out of here. This has been Movie Sucks In. Disney sucks. And everything that comes out of Disney that's to do with Star Wars sucks. Leave a like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.